All right. Hello, greetings, everybody. Welcome to week 12. We're here. We made it 3 months in. Finished the summer, right? Bringing into fall, which is kind of a perfect time to have this class for growing reasons. For all of you that were able to attend the Chef's Garden with Farmer Lee, I hope that you enjoyed it. And for any of you that didn't, please do review that. It will be posted later on, probably today or tomorrow, and we'll have access to that. I'll post that in along with the archive of this session. But I first wanted to, before we start covering anything else, I wanted to see if anybody else had any questions. I know there were a lot of conversations going in the chat. Anything that maybe you needed any clarity on or had any questions regarding that. And then we're going to really hit it hard and talk about utilization of these vegetables. So any of you all had any questions? All right. Well then, let us proceed. Obviously, week 12, here we are. Just to take a quick base on wrapping things up, remember our final week 12 assignment is due on this Sunday. Put it in early, knock it out. Some of you already have, excellent job. We want to talk about utilizing this box, okay? How can you utilize it? You have complete freedom to execute an appetizer and entree of your choice for this week. I'm just going to pull up this class page. So we're all on this together, and let's get here. We got some activity going on in the basement. All right, so here we go. Due on Sunday, right? As we covered last week in week 11, we touched based on this, about this, as some people had already received their boxes and we want to get that show on the road. So I'm just going to do a really brief recap because pretty much we already know what's going on here, right? We're going to utilize and highlight that box to create a beautiful finished product, all right? Final plating of an appetizer as well as, excuse me, just let me pull this out. An appetizer and entree of your choice. Remember, we do want to see a photo of your plant progress, right? Tying it all together. Maybe you're going to use your plant in this dish as well. Who knows? I know some people have been using their scallions that have been growing along steadily throughout the time, which is also great. You have a few ways of how you can incorporate these vegetables, right? Maybe you want to use, do something like, I forget, was it Melinda? She made a squash and apple stack that paired well with something. Another person, I think Yvonne made a salsa utilizing some of the greens. Tons of different ideas. Roger made the tagine, right? Lots of ways to utilize and visualize this. You don't have to use all of them in one dish. Maybe you choose, you want to highlight 2 or 3 of them. Maybe you make one thing a component. I forget who, but dehydrated the tomatoes, right? Maybe you want that as one component of your dish. Maybe you're going to make a different type of presentation. Let's talk about some ideas how to utilize product, okay? And on that note, what I wanted to really go into is thinking about how vegetables taste, all right? They talked about this a little bit in the class, right? In the lives, in the talk about utilizing the freshness aspect, right? They're harvesting that. I don't know if any of you have read the website, but they're literally harvesting this and packaging it and shipping it the next day. You're receiving that within about 24 to 48 hours. So my question to all of you is, who said, you know what? I want to know what this tastes like within 48 hours of being harvested. Did anybody eat their products raw? Okay, we've got a few hands, all right? Now let me tell you, that is the first step as a chef, right? You wanna know what that product tastes like raw, okay? You wanna know what the texture tastes like, what it feels like, okay? Then, once you know what it feels like as a baseline raw, that's when you start to play, right? What does it taste like sauteed, roasted, baked, dehydrated, right? You start thinking of the different ways you can utilize products, okay? Now, remember, the way we cut certain products also can have a huge impact on how it feels, how the mouthfeel is. Maybe somebody thinking, okay, I'm gonna tell you guys, guess what I did? I used every single one of those vegetables except for the microgreens to create a salad. So I could have just halved those tomatoes and halved those green beans, maybe blanched them, thrown them in a sauce, right? Nope, let me give you a little idea what I did, an insight. So start thinking about textures and how we can use fresh produce without cooking it to yield different flavor profiles, right? Everything has different sweetnesses, herbaceousness, different notes, okay? But if we just put a huge chunk of green bean, who's gonna gnaw on that other than maybe a little bunny, right? Or a few other select people, like myself maybe, but that's not appetizing. That's not how you're gonna sell a product. You need to change that texture if you're utilizing something raw, okay? To make it more appetizing, to break it down. Mouthfeel, right? How is it cut? Okay, so let me pull this up. I wanna show you some ideas. I put this on the class page, so it's there as well, but this will hopefully give you some more inspiration. Let me see if I can figure this out. Just one sec. I want to make sure everything is okay here. Sorry, again, tech stuff. You know how that goes. Trying to pull all this up. All right, I think we got this now. And one sec, just want to present this. Bingo. All right. Here we go. Let's start this off. Chef's Garden, right? We know we got an assortment of different beautiful vegetables, from squash to, how many varietals of beans did you get? I had 5 in mine. Okay. Yeah, we've got the beautiful arrowhead spinach. That was, I don't know if, again, if you tasted that raw, certainly doesn't taste like any spinach you're getting at the store, right? The texture, okay? How to utilize that. So, beans. I chose to slice these on a very thin angle, a very thin bias. So that way I'm not having any large chunks. It's the internal side so that you're getting a nice crisp. You're not fighting, okay? You're not gonna have any long strings in there either. You always wanna top and tail those, right? Topping and tail mean take that top off from where it connected to the plant, okay? Here's another close up. I did some small and medium slices on the other ones, and then I did essentially a version of a julienne, a very thin matchstick cut on the larger green beans, okay? But first, before I started cutting these, I tasted each and every single one of these individually and said, okay, texturally, how do I need to cut this so that I'm gonna have a good end result? Looking at my quantity, right? This is not a huge portion of these vegetables. So you have to be mindful of how you utilize them to get different textures, and so that you're not just eating a bunch of the same, your mouth doesn't feel the same, right? You wanna have little parties going on. Each bite, you wanna have something slightly different, okay? Tomatoes, sure, we can have them. You could quarter them. You can slice them on an angle. You can slice them halfway. Presentation, maybe you wanna serve them whole. You want to also taste each and every one of those. I suggest just a teeny little pinch of salt, okay? And really understand that flavor and development. Hopping into the greens and squash. So I looked at this and I said, okay, well, let's give it a go. Greens, I don't want to just saute those and have them lost. So I said, I'm going to chiffonade that. I'm going to chiffonade it because I tasted it on its own. It wasn't tough. It was delicate. And I knew that if I sliced it thin enough, I would get the end texture that I wanted. Now, I don't want really long, thin strips, right? So I'm gonna have to make a nice roulade, roll it all up, then thinly chiffonade, and then do a half slice, right? Down the middle of that. So I get bite-sized pieces so nobody's choking as well, right? Especially when we're thinking about salads, you have to be extremely mindful of the mouthpiece. How is the salad gonna break down? Zucchini and squash, really tender, right? We know that how quickly does squash cook when we saute it? Instantaneously, that is gonna break down, right? When you start seeing, when it goes from opaque to translucent, it becomes mushy, right? So you start thinking about that tender squash. I can slice that in a way that it's going to be tender. So I did nice little thin discs, a paysan cut eventually, and then julienne sticks. Together with some herbs, spices. I literally dressed this with some vinegar and salt and pepper and garnished it with a touch of Parmesan cheese. But this was the salad I had. I had a little bit more parsley, a few other herbs. Every single thing was raw. It was just about the way that I cut it and sliced it. Knife skills. All right. I used a little garnish on those microgreens for another dish that I'll tell you, but that was just a simple garnish, right? That was just, I made a nice, just a basic rice, and then a really flavorful stew, chicken stew and braise. Pile that on top and threw those microgreens right on top, just as a hit of color, a bit of freshness, because I was doing a slower braise and stew, so you can see those colors are a little bit more muted. So that microgreen really adds a punch. So remember, it all starts with a single seed, right? And that's how, from one seed and one plant, we get all these other plants. So think about how you're highlighting these vegetables and fruits. Think about the order of operation. What's going to go best? What would be best blanched, right? Blanched, a hot, quick boil, and then a shock if you want that crispness, if you want that bright, vibrant green. What's going to be better steamed? What would be better slow roasted? How are we going to utilize this? Is the texture of the tomato good for roasting? Is it good for eating raw? Start evaluating your products constantly, okay? Think about how you can utilize them. Think about how you can make them shine. What spices go well with them? What herbs pair well? It's not as simple as, hey, I got some spinach, I'm gonna saute it. It's thinking outside of the box, how to utilize that. Can I use it as a garnish? How can I flavor it? Did you taste it and has anybody ever tasted spinach and it's just really iron, full of iron and mineral and salty and a little bit tastes a little dirty, right? Or beets. And you think, okay, if I'm cooked this, is that gonna intensify that flavor? Or could I soak that in a little bit of water? Maybe I can mellow that out a bit, right? That's especially useful for strong onions. Okay, when we have a really strong onion, you want to mellow that out, but you want to utilize that in a fresh way. Thin slices in some water, it pulls out that harshness. Okay. Squeezing it with salt, onions with salt, and letting that sit for a little while. It breaks down the cellulose. All right. Remember, it's not just about heat, about how we cut, how we break down those cellulose, and the structure of the vegetables and how that works. Okay. So just constantly thinking about how to utilize that. Maybe you want to use a little spinach just to color a puree. Maybe you want to make a beautiful quick oil and just take that spinach and blend that. Remember, we're talking about making green oils. So you start thinking about utilizing products in different ways. If you go on to Instagram or websites, all of these things, you're just going to see people utilizing products in so many different unique ways. Radishes so thinly sliced that you can see the fish through it that it's resting on top of, right? A puree so pink you think that's fake and you realize that's coming from beets, okay? Colors, vibrancy. This is where we're trending. We're trending in this direction. People want fresh. People want healthy. People want things that they're kind of new and exciting, maybe that you didn't think about in the same way. How often do we see sprouts now on menus that weren't there before? Sprouts are everywhere. They're even sprouting your nuts and seeds and wheat kernels to make sprouted bread, right? So it's constantly evolving, thinking about how can you utilize this? What's the best application of that? Cucumbers, let's think about cucumbers. Do we peel them? Do we peel them all? Well, guess what? Right, I see Dwayne saying no. I'll tell you this much, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna taste that and see how bitter is the skin first, right? Because it might be really bitter. I might say, you know what? I need to take it all, or I need to take half of it off, right? Maybe I don't need to take it all off, but I need to take some off. It depends upon the varietal, right? We're talking about an English hothouse cucumber. Who knows the difference between your dill pickles, right? Your pickling pickles, right? Kirby's. Who's ever heard of a Kirby pickle, right? A Kirby cucumber? Okay, let me show you some visuals, right? Again, product knowledge. Product knowledge, this vastness, like Farmer Lee was talking about, getting requests from others, from chefs, from locals saying, hey, can you grow this? Do you know how to make this? This is where it all stems from. Think about back to CU222. How many varietals of potatoes do we have hailing from Peru? How many? Does anybody remember or have an idea? If you say thousands, you're right. Okay, thousands. How many varietals is Farmer Lee growing? Who knows? But I'm sure that what was just the basics, what we're thinking of, some Yukon Gold, some fingerling, some russet, red. What else is out there now? Tons of purple potatoes. If we go into Peru, you'll be floored by the amount of different varietals of and colors and sizes and shapes and textures of potatoes. Okay, let me give you a excuse me, a visual of Kirby. All right, here we go. There we go. Here we go. We've got some Kirby's here. Really traditionally used for pickling, right? Pickling cucumbers. Those are Kirby. They're smaller. They're usually a little bit spinier than those English hothouse ones. Some of them can be extremely prickly, as you can see here. Do you see that texture there? If you feel that is quite, it's rough. You would really want to transform this in some way. Again, how do we utilize the product, right? That's why an English hothouse cucumber or also known as Persian cucumbers, okay? There's another one, but that's smaller. So here's our Persian cucumber, very thin skin, very thin, extremely delicate. It's not rough. It doesn't have that as much bitter, as many bitter notes. Seeds are far smaller, okay? Then you've got the Persian pickles. And as you can see, these are very similar to those hothouse, right, in structure, except they're a lot smaller and even more tender. Okay, and then what if we just looked up the regular old cucumber, right? What are we gonna see? What do we think of as that regular cucumber? Does that look like what mostly we'll see? Something like that, a little bit larger, right? Some yellow and green, different texture. Oftentimes, here, this is a pretty classic one. Wouldn't you say that's what you see oftentimes in your salad? Who's ever noticed how waxy that skin is? Has anybody ever noticed that waxiness? What's that wax there for? Is that part of the actual vegetable? What do we think? Preservative, yeah, right? That's a seal, it's a protector. It's a spray, it might be part of the harvest and processing and shipping, right? Sometimes you really want to take that off. Otherwise, you're going to have to use something that can dissolve that to get that waxy flavor off. But oftentimes you'll see that's why people peel them. All right, again though, think about this. If I have a big old fat slice of cucumber compared to a really thin one, am I going to notice that waxiness in that really thin slice or that big slice? The big one, exactly, right? There's more to fight through. Just like the green beans, right? Really thinly sliced, it's crunchy and delightful. Large pieces can get a little stringy, right? Just like when you think about making a soup, right? What's that? What's the grand rule on the size of your knife cuts that for when making a soup? What's the rule? Yeah, exactly like celery margarita. Mouth bite, yeah. More specifically, size, yeah, but what's the even? Yeah, of course. Same consistency, yeah. What should it fit on? The spoon, right? If you have really huge cuts, how are you going to hold that on your spoon? This is true dining reasons, right? If I have a really long onion and it's all falling off, right? Now, of course, different types of stews and soups require different cuts. Again, going down to the cut. Yeah, brunoise would be excellent for you know, did you all remember learning about consommé? Right? Consommé. And what would be a traditional garnish for a beautiful consommé?
I'm laughing. I have something funny to share about that. When I was in school, we made consomme and I garnished mine with a celery leaf. And we were all gathered around the table and the instructor was commenting on our consomme and he took a fork and flicked the celery leaf out of my consomme and said, "Celery is vulgar." I had to share.
I love it. And that's definitely a a, a chef dislike or like, right? So no, the answer is not celery leaves. Apparently, Melinda. That's not according to Chef Lee's um, chef. I'll tell you what we garnished it with: brunoise of mirepoix. Okay, a brunoise of mirepoix, and I mean a fine, fine, beautiful brunoise. Here's a little visual of what you might get. Right? Oh, there we go. Good oil drizzle? Sure. But remember, consomme, the whole point is the clarity of that. You actually don't want to see, depending upon the type of consomme, yeah, you could if you had like a beautiful green oil that you did a few little drops on it for something that's really vibrant. But remember, consomme, you want to be really clarifying everything, pulling everything out. Okay, so there we go. We've got a little, there's your mirepoix, right? There's Chef Lee's celery leaf, or that might be parsley. See, maybe it works. Here we go. Here's another beautiful brunoise with thinly sliced scallions in there as well. Plus, it looks like some hints of coriander leaves. Okay, so of course, there's no one size and rule fits all, but always be thinking about what type of establishment. Just like we pull into CU187 that Chef Lee is throwing down in, thinking about how you would construct that menu, those different types and styles of dining. What do we expect? I'm not going to expect brunoise when I go to a diner and I order chicken noodle soup. No way. There's a time and a place, though, right? It takes a lot of work and effort to make consomme and a lot of ingredients. Consomme is not cheap. Okay, so thinking about how we present and utilize our vegetables. How do we preserve them? How do we make them shine? You know, I was thinking about how else could you, sometimes the best way to start getting ideas, right? You think about maybe a dish you love, okay? And I was starting to think, how else can I talk to the class about ways to utilize the green beans, okay? And I started thinking, all right, you know what one of my favorite salads is? Who knows about papaya salad that hails from Thailand? Anybody? Yeah. And who knows what comes in that papaya salad, right? Green papaya salad. What comes in there?
Can you hear me, Chef Lee or Chef Catherine?
Now we can, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I love the papaya salad. I make it all the time. It's called Tom Tom.
Yep.
Um,
What's in there other than green papaya?
I know that there's tomatoes in there,
Mm-hmm.
fried shrimp,
Mm-hmm.
peanuts,
Yep.
some spicy Thai chilies.
Yep. Some shrimp. I've got Melinda saying tomato margaritas chiming in. You're totally on spot with all of those, Sharon. Guess what else is in there? Long beans. Mary Benjamin got it. Bingo. Yeah, long beans. All right. Long beans, which I'll show you a visual of. Okay. So here we go. So let me pull this up. And so then I started walking down the world of Asian cuisines, and I thought, man, long beans. Okay. Remember, a lot of ideas and thoughts come from taking one vegetable and kind of just slightly, oh, Mary, the truth comes out, Google. All right. No, I'm just joking with you. But here what long beans look like, right? And they're a bit tougher, longer, but similar in flavor profile to a more sturdy green bean, right? A French bean, not a broad bean. But I thought, well, you know what? What if, here's that visual of that papaya salad. What if I took those beautiful green beans? Here you can see, look at this angle that this long bean is cut on. Do you see? Those very thin and sliver, right? Okay, just a gorgeous center cut there. You could also do a great bias cut, similar to what I had in that. I thought, man, I could imagine a bunch of bias cut green beans, some finely shredded green pepper, you know, all those delicious flavor profiles, the fresh lime juice, the dried chilies, the dried shrimp, the fish sauce, the peanuts. And what if you put that right on top of a beautiful piece of seared fish, right? Or grilled fish. Who knows? Keep thinking about it. All right. Margarita, my mouth is watering too. It's a good thing I'm not going to drool down my face because that's where I am, because I'm thinking about this as well. But you start thinking about textures you can play on and play with, right? What about another wonderful, you know, we think about all these different types of long beans, going on long beans. You've got, the wonderful Chinese long beans with oyster sauce. Let's see if I can get a beautiful dish here that we're gonna see. Again, maybe you don't have long beans, but maybe you have green beans and you start playing. Here we go. Just a quick, beautiful, do you see that hot sear on there? That's been hit with a really high heat wok, and that's flavored up with garlic. And then you start to see some different other takes on this, right? Different vegetables, whatnot, okay? So you start thinking about how can we utilize that? What's another idea that you can think about? What about you all? What do you think? Where else do you see green beans and think? Chef Lee and I were talking about one earlier, which I'm gonna let her share with that if nobody can guess it. Where else? What else? Something sounds good, Natalia. What else might be a way to utilize a green bean? Where else do you ever see that or think about how could I incorporate this? Chinese food, yeah, for sure. How else? Where else?
So I like green beans just as a side dish with bacon.
Yeah, green beans and bacon, a classic combination as well. Everything's better with bacon, right?
Casseroles.
Yes.
Casseroles, stir fries, soups. What is any other dish that you can really like specifically think of, maybe that always contains green beans? Pickle, sure.
We can throw some hints out. Other ingredients in the salad would be hard-boiled egg.
This is a composed salad.
The composed salad. You might have some tuna, or sometimes you see it with salmon. You're close, Heather. You also sometimes will see orzo on it, some potatoes, not a poke bowl.
Niçoise. Mary, you gotta stop using Google. No, I'm just joking.
Niçoise, that's right.
Here we go, class. Classic composed salad here. Blanched, fresh haricot vert. Now, haricot vert, very different from green beans. Haricot vert are extremely thin and tender, okay? Usually paired with either canned, high quality canned tuna with olive oil, or a seared nice fillet of tuna, Niçoise olives, right, where it hails from, a beautiful combination of small tender potatoes that have usually been boiled and tossed with some lemon and herbs, a little garlic, a nice vinaigrette to give it some punch, okay? And then as Chef Lee mentioned, that those hard-boiled eggs or medium boiled eggs, but you start thinking about how can I use that? Well, maybe it could be cool if I made a riff on a Niçoise salad. What if I made a riff on a Niçoise salad? And I said, okay, it's the end. We're kind of getting to summer, fall. I don't want it to be totally a Niçoise salad. What if I seared a beautiful piece of tuna and I made a roasted pepper coulis, a roasted red tomato coulis, right? And maybe I stacked that seared tuna fillet on top of those potatoes and garnished it with, bias thinly cut green beans with a beautiful bright vinaigrette, okay? Maybe a little microgreen on there. So you start thinking about how you can take these basics and these familiars, things that we think about, and cutting them to bring new life to them. It's bringing new life to old classics, or an old vegetable that you think you've been bored of and you're done with until you cut it in a different way or you prepare it in a different way. And when you roast it, you bring out sweetness, or you find out that, you know what, roasting didn't do well for this at all, or the skin dried out too much. I didn't like that. How do you change it? How do you modify? Knowing your varietal and what type of vegetable is and what it tastes like raw is the first step to understanding how to prepare it and how to utilize it. Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
We do have some questions coming up in the chat about the week 12 assignment.
Yeah.
Questions about doing a salad for your appetizer, and I've been responding saying, no, that's its own course. You need to do something specific, a specific appetizer. What, are you with me on that, or do you feel like a salad would be okay?
I'm okay as long as it is a composed salad and some real deep thought is going into there, where you have multiple, kind of like we talked about in week 11, multiple different components coming in, right? This is not just a chef salad. You're going to need to make your dressing from scratch. So if you're making a vinaigrette, make it from scratch. If you're making a ranch or a Thousand Island or blue cheese, we need to be saying this made by scratch. This is not a take it out of the bottle and shake it up and throw it on your salad that came from a bag of pre-cut lettuce, right? Thought, creativity, right?
Some other questions were about the photo requirements.
Yes, so I'll pull that up again. Thank you, Chef. It is a minimum of 3 photos that will demonstrate your execution. All right. Here we go. So obviously your standard self-ID, mise en place, sanitation. And then, so you've got your great mise en place that you're starting off, at least 3 photos demonstrating the proper technique. So say, for example, I was going to make a beautiful composed salad. Well, guess what? 3 photos is one going to be the making of a vinaigrette, right? So I need to see that mise en place and want to see that action, right? You're going to have to show a few more. You'd want to show a few more photos that all of your knife cuts, right? And also, are you toasting nuts for that? You need to have some other aspect going on in here, right? I saw somebody saying they're going to use their cheese. Yeah, wonderful way to utilize that, right? That's totally cool with me. Incorporate that cheese. How are you going to enhance it? Are you going to marinate your cheese for a few days beforehand with herbs and oil so that you give it some body, maybe a little lemon zest, maybe a little garlic, some spice, so you give it some flavor, some character? Okay. Remember, a composed salad, if I order a salad at a restaurant, I better have some dried fruit, toasted, roasted nuts, different types of cheese, maybe a poached pear. Maybe there's a poached fruit in there. There should be multiple components, all right? So if you're gonna make a salad, you better make it an awesome salad. I chose to utilize all of those beautiful products in a wonderful salad. Okay. But think about how you're cutting this. This is not just a, shred them all and toss them together. But you know what? That just gave me a good idea. What about taking that squash and grating it, right? Pulling out a little bit of that water, mixing it with a little bit of flour and egg, right? And making and some fresh herbs, and maybe even that cheese, and making a beautiful fritter, right? Taking that, making a little batter, getting that nice fried, seared. You've got fresh squash fritters, right? Served on a bed with a dipping sauce, and maybe it's on a bed of greens. Maybe it's paired with some smoked fish. How are you going to highlight these ingredients? Again, start thinking outside the box. And for the entree, as we talked about it, no breakfast, only dinner. This is dinner. We're making savory meals. If you want to make a dessert for a third course, go for it. But we are focusing on dinner as if we're going out to a restaurant to order an appetizer and an entree. All right? So again, thinking about your experience. If you want to invite people over, that would be wonderful. Cook for a family or friend. I know it's COVID time, so maybe not going to work. But cook for yourself, right? And think about, I'm going to sit down to this menu. I'm sitting down in my restaurant, and I'm going to have the meal that I'm preparing. And I want to think about, how crunchy is that? Is it flavored enough? And did I make sure that after I made that fritter, did I sprinkle a little bit of extra salt, right? Whenever we fry something, right? How do we season it afterwards? If we fry something, we need to make sure that we're sprinkling a little salt after that, right? Make sure it's properly seasoned. I want to be thinking about that dipping sauce. I want to think what other components are in there. It's not as simple as just slapping one thing on the plate and calling it done. You got to think about what Chef Lee's been talking about, C187, making a menu. What we've been talking about every week in those menu descriptions. What's going to get your customer to buy? What's going to get your customer excited about ordering that item off your menu? That entree. Am I going to order an entree that is just, no sauce, no vegetable, it's just a piece of meat and potatoes? That seemed kind of lackluster to me. I can make that at home really easily. What am I going out and paying $30 for a piece of steak and potatoes? Unless it's, some incredible steak prepared in a huge open fire, Argentinian style, right? Otherwise, steak and a baked potato. See what I'm saying here? Think about the textures on the plate. Does anybody have any questions or questions about how they were thinking about preparing any of these? Want to bounce ideas off? That's what we're here for, right?
Just one
one
question.
thing-
Sorry, 1 second. We're gonna, please raise hands. I got Margarita up first, and then we'll go in line. Sorry. Thank you all. Margarita.
Hi, Chef. Yeah, thank you. So I just want to make sure, I love the tomatoes, and I just like they were so fresh and beautiful. So I prepared a tomato salad. I prepared a cornbread, which I toasted, pan toasted. I made the vinaigrette. There was honey, lemon vinaigrette, and a cherry balsamic reduction to drizzle with. And then, of course, I used my fresh cheese. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. A kind of a little play on a caprese, right? Caprese, remember, we've got beautiful ripe tomatoes, mozzarella cheese. So there's Margarita playing with this idea of, okay, well, let's take cornbread. Let's think about those flavors. Toast it. So I've got some crunch on there. And then these beautiful summer tomatoes, a little bit of fresh farmer's cheese, the balsamic, maybe some herbs.
Yeah, so I used parsley and shallot to mix into the vinaigrette and also in the salad. So it was so delicious. those tomatoes just made the salad. It was fantastic.
Awesome. Beautiful. I see Deonta is going to make crab cakes. And then who's up next? Roger.
So, what you were talking about with the spinach, see, that really resonated with me. So I tasted that spinach and I'd never seen heirloom spinach before. So it was something very new to me, and I tasted it and it was like, I can't cook this.
There you go.
I cannot cook this. Not especially in the meal that I was going to make, because it's a stew, basically, right?
Well, okay, so you could, but think about when you could add that spinach if you wanted to add spinach to a stew. When are you going to add it, everybody?
At the very end.
The last moment, exactly, 100%.
Right.
Yes.
But what I did is I used it as the base on the plate, and then I put the couscous and then the tagine on top of it, and you ate the spinach along with the rest of the meal, and it just complemented the meal just so nicely.
Awesome.
That spinach was just beautiful. It almost have been like a crime to cook it for me.
Hey, why do you think I made a whole entire fresh raw salad? I was like, as I bit into everything, I was like, there's nothing that I can do to this to make this better, other than to cooking, slicing it the right way, and eating that and enjoying.
I haven't had vegetables like that since I've lived in Germany, where we rented a house from a farmer, and we would get fresh vegetables like every day.
Yeah. Awesome.
So.
Totally. I love it. Yeah. All right. Selena.
Okay, so I kind of wanted to do like a smothered pork chop with like a mushroom gravy sauce, but I'm not good with sauces yet. So since I don't have beef stock, would chicken be okay to do it with the pork chop to make a sauce out of the mushrooms?
Yeah, definitely. You can use, so chicken and pork are usually, because they're both lighter white meats, those stocks are fairly interchangeable for making one gravy. Obviously, if you wanted you had a beef component and you wanted a gravy to match the strength and flavor profile, you'd want to use a beef stock. But just because my turkey and chicken are a bit more mild.
Okay.
And then start thinking about how you're going to utilize and showcase those vegetables as well, right? Because you've got pork chop and mushrooms and gravy, right? Then start thinking about maybe you need that really fresh component. How are you going to highlight? Maybe you can chiffonade the spinach and use that as a garnish on top of that, right? With some fried leeks or fried onions. Just keep thinking about flavor profiles and color.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Brian.
Hey, Chef. Just one quick question. For both meals, do we have to show, or do we have to make 2 plates of each, basically?
No, you do not. You need 1 plate up of each.
All right.
1 app, 1 entree. Finished.
Chef, before you take the next question, there's someone in the class with allergies. The greens, were there microgreens in the box? And do you happen to know what sort of microgreens they are?
I found out as much information as you did, which was the daily harvest of microgreens. There were about 5 different ones that I could pick out without even doing a full deep dive. So I would say if you have any allergies, and I would have just let somebody else enjoy that, or garnish somebody else's plate with that. Don't take any risk. Thank you, Chef. Sharon.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
So what I wanted to do, because, I cook all the time, right? And then this assignment comes up and I'm like, there's so many ideas in my head that I cannot decide. And I told my husband, I was like, I don't know what to do, because I had so many things coming from different origins. And I thought about what you said about putting things together, but tying them in together somehow. And I swear, even though I'm Black, I have to have like Asian in me somewhere because I just love, I'm going to do an ancestry.com, but anyway, that's another story. So
We're all from the same thing somehow.
somehow, somewhere, some way. So
Yep.
I decided, you know, because I wanted to do the Swedish meatballs, but I decided I was going to do a Korean pancake for
Okay.
the appetizer, which has the fresh zucchini in it and the sweet potato. And then I was going to do like a sesame drizzle oil on the microgreens.
Perfect.
With it, and then I'll tie the Swedish meatballs in there by using some of those Korean flavors, the gochujang, the gochugaru, and that way it's tying it into the Swedish meatball. And then I was gonna do the pommes puree and the spiral some zucchini to look like noodles and do a sesame oil like soy sauce based sauce for those zucchini noodles.
All right.
All Korean.
Okay.
Somehow.
I would say go for it.
Okay.
Yeah. And think about how to incorporate those tomatoes. Maybe you're going to make a little bright salad that's on the side. Lime juice, fish sauce, something really bright and vibrant. To cut that, you could look into different types of banchan, right? Banchan are the side dishes that come with Korean barbecue. Those are usually fermented side pickles. You could do a quick pickle of something. Just think about that other balance to Korean food, which has that pungency that balances those sweeter and spicier notes.
Okay, thank you, Chef.
Yeah, you're welcome. Latasha.
Hey, Chef, I have a question. I'm a noodle eater. I eat noodles all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking about making for an entree as like a carbonara pasta. And I'm just trying to figure out what would be a good appetizer to kind of go along with that.
Well, a few things I would say. One, if you're going to make a pasta, I would really prefer you all to be making fresh pasta. Okay.
That's the only way I eat it. It's the fresh pasta.
Oh, well, hello. All right. All right. Okay. So the tricky thing with doing carbonara with fresh made pasta, though, carbonara is traditionally made with spaghetti.
Right.
Okay. A thicker, and that's that. Unless you have a pasta machine that's extruding that, it's going to be hard to get that consistency. But I mean, that doesn't mean you can't give it a go. In that case, I would probably suggest somewhere cut around the size of like a linguine, as opposed to the thickness of a tagliatelle, just for the sake of your carbonara sauce. Okay. When as an appetizer, you're looking for an appetizer for that?
Yes, that would kind of complement it.
Okay, so I would start thinking about, okay, what came in that box? Remember, so carbonara is going to be egg and Parmesan cheese, and you're taking pancetta and you're sweating all of that out, and you're making a quick liaison utilizing beaten eggs and Parmesan, and then the fat to then toss your hot, freshly cooked pasta in. So we want to make sure that we're having that vegetable, component. So I would start thinking about, okay, well, what are different types of contorni? Right? Contorni are the name for appetizers or vegetables in Italian food. So I would go down the Italian route. I would start thinking, ooh, maybe I'm going to make that zucchini fritter, but I'm going to make a little tomato salad, right? Highlighting and utilizing those tomatoes in that. Tomato salad, a quick fritter. Maybe that salad could also have a little chiffonade of spinach in it. Maybe you want to garnish your carbonara with some of your microgreens, right? Not traditional.
That's what I was thinking about too, to put it like right there on the top, just to kind of bring that color out a little bit.
Yeah, I would do that. And then I would do like a side of a different type of green beans. Maybe you're doing green beans with almonds and hazelnuts, all right? And you're going to saute those in olive oil and shallot.
Oh.
Or maybe you want to slice.
Sounds really good right now.
Okay, see, there we go. You just start thinking, right? Start thinking about, I'm going to point this out because this is a class. This is one of, I don't know if I shared this with you before, but this is one of my favorite books. I'm guessing Chef Lee used this book as well. They now they have a new one called the Flavor Bible, one second. But when I was in culinary school, this was one of the coolest things out there. It came out in 1996, all right? And this was the book, all right? Hold up. It's called Culinary Artistry. Order it, get it online, check it out. Go to a library when they open up, if they ever do, right? See if we can. Here, let's see if they're gonna give a visual of this. So here we go. So as you can see, what they do is they break it down. So for example, this is not the end all be all, but it's really cool. So they list apples and they're gonna tell you what season it is. It says fall, okay? Then it's gonna run through all of the different flavors and products that work well with apples. So we see almonds, applejack, bacon, black cherry, blue cheese, brandy, brown sugar, butterscotch, calvados, which is apple brandy, caramel, cassia, celery, cheese, chestnut, cider, cinnamon, cloves. The list goes on and on and on, right? Especially for something like apples, which is extremely versatile. The next section you'll see is how to cook it, right? Preferred, like, is it roasted? Is it for pies? How do you make it? As you can see, then we go up to here, anchovies. You know, we've got eggs, hard-boiled, garlic, lemon, olive oils, onions, parsley. I would beg to say that there's a lot more flavor profiles that we can work with anchovies, but this was a really good start and a pretty cool base back in, you know, the 90s. Now they have, Calvados is not a caramel apple pie. It is apple brandy. Oh, it's in. Yes, it is in an apple pie if you make it that way. The Flavor Bible is kind of the newer version of this by the same authors. This one came out in, I don't know what year, 2008. All right. So, you know, maybe you want to hit up the Flavor Bible. I don't have that one. I haven't gotten it, but I think that could be a great thing. It's just a really great place to kind of get that inspiration. If you're doubting or new to certain ingredients, I remember even in week 8, we had a lot of people who said, I've never had cauliflower. What does that go with, right? So it's a great way to get your base laying of, okay, I don't know what this really goes with or how I should cook it. How do I prepare it? What type of season? This is going to be a great resource for you. And it lets you start to get creative, like what spices play well, right? What spices go well with lamb, right? Start thinking about that, okay? Start thinking about what spices play well with each other, what herbs play well with each other, all right? You want it like a symphony. You don't want a fight. You want them to play together, okay? Nataya, I see your hand up.
I was debating, I'm like, should I second guess the salad I was gonna do? Because I was trying to utilize all the things that we've been making this upcoming week. Like I used my strawberry preserve to make a vinaigrette out of, and I used the cheese. So that's what I was composing my salad with, but should I not do a salad now?
As long, like I said, if it's a composed salad, you're making a vinaigrette, you're toasting nuts, you've got multiple components, you're displaying knife skills, I'm okay with that. But you better show some knife skills. Better show us a homemade sauce, you know.
Yes, I did my homemade sauce. I used the strawberry preserves we had to make my dressing.
Great, yeah. You know, we talked about utilizing the compound butter. I know somebody said they use that to toss the green beans with. Great application of that, right? You've got this beautiful herbaceous green bean compound butter, tossing that with, you know, some sauteed green beans. Lovely.
Okay. My compound butter, I was just going to put it on top of my meat. Would that be okay?
Yeah, that works. I would say
the type of compound butter I made.
Yeah, I mean, just keep on thinking about that whole dish and how it's going to all work together. I'm happy and want you all to utilize that compound butter and cheese if you want to. You're not required to, but it is a wonderful utilization. You get to see that product, you know, displayed.
Okay. Thank you, Chef.
You're welcome. Dwayne and Tara, let me come back to you in a second.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Okay, I'm gonna do a combination Thai fried rice.
Okay.
Now, can I just, now I'm gonna put that on because I'm cooking for a family. So can I just have can that just be my main one? Do I have to, on a platter, or do I need to make 2 or 3 plates?
If you want to present it in a nice way with the platter, I'm okay with that.
Okay, and then also I'm doing a brontosaurus burger.
A what?
A brontosaurus burger.
Okay.
I was making a joke. I was making a joke.
Oh, I was like, it sounds like Chef Lee knows what this is. What is this?
And I haven't got my box yet, so I'm still waiting on my box.
Okay. You know, I would say if by tomorrow, anybody, you haven't received it, don't wait on the boxes. You bring up a great point, Dwayne. You know, I know some people, the produce sat out for a little while and lost some things. So
Okay.
also the creative freedom, have fun. You know, as long as you're adhering to the requirements of an appetizer and entree, showing those that mise en place, self-ID, Sandy, as well as 3, you know, technical aspects of executing this dish, I'm okay with that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Be sure to highlight those knife skills that you're using if you're making a fried rice, right?
Yes, ma'am.
About that.
Gotcha.
Okay. Heather.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you call a risotto an appetizer, or would that be more of a side dish?
No, you know, based in a traditional Italian setting, that would be one of the primi. It's like you start off, that would be a primi, and your secondi is your, you know, depending upon the setup, you might have rice and then pasta and then your meat, fish. These would be smaller portions, but a risotto can definitely be an appetizer.
Okay, because I was torn between doing that or making it into like an arancini ball. I think I'm saying that wrong. I'm torn either way.
Yeah, no, arancini, I actually I whipped up some risotto this past week, and all I kept thinking about was, man, if I really want to get the fryer out and get all greasy, I would throw down on some arancini. So, but think about an arancini. What are you going to put in that center, right? Arancini can come very plain and basic without a filling. Sometimes it has a filling. Are you going to serve it with a ragu sauce? What's your sauce going to be on that, right?
Yeah.
You know, maybe you make a beautiful little, you know, just thinking about how you compose that. I would be happy, you know, both of those take labors and, you know, time to execute. Just think about the flavor profile. Are you making a primavera style risotto? Are you going to highlight some of that beautiful squash in there? Are you going to, what are you going to make shine, right? Can you chiffonade that spinach in there? Can you use that as a garnish? And it just kind of melts into it, right? You don't cook it and you just put it on there and it folds into this, you know, if you made just a regular risotto.
Yeah, I was leaning towards a cheese and spinach risotto, either the risotto or the arancini. And if I did do the arancini route, I was going to make a marinara because I have a bunch of tomatoes left over from my garden.
Perfect.
Yeah, so I had that.
Yes and yes. I'm
Cool.
coming over.
And then for my main dish, I'm leaning a little more towards like a French influence, I think, because I love that basted steak that we did. It's just phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
So I wanted to do that again with a bordelaise sauce.
Awesome.
And a cauliflower puree, because that was really good too.
Okay, perfect.
And a sauteed vegetable.
Great. I would say, you know, if you're utilizing that spinach in your, like a nice chiffonade on the top of that risotto, I could see it really, you had cheese in there, Parmesan, a nice, just a basic Parmesan risotto with a beautiful chiffonade on there of that spinach that gets folded in and incorporated into that. That, you know, you're thinking about how do you play with textures and visualization, right? And not overcooking that spinach. Think about what vegetable you want to highlight on your basted steak with your veg. Are you going to saute that squash, cut that into batonnet? Are you going to utilize the green beans? Maybe you're going to cut those green beans on a bias, or how can you incorporate all that? But I think you're heading down a great track.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Chef.
You're welcome. Chef Lee, did you have anything that you wanted to throw in?
Sorry, I was replying to something in the chat. As far as the narrative reflections go, I think, and Chef Catherine, I want your 2 cents on this as well. Be as thorough as possible. I want to hear your takeaway from the class, kind of through the lens of what you're preparing for your final assignment. So what have you learned? How are you going to take these techniques and try them moving forward? So yeah, I think be as descriptive and as forthcoming as you'd like with that, and share with us what it was like for you.
100%. And don't forget you don't need to copy, and you don't need to like put a whole recipe down in there in the text instructions. But if I don't know if Chef Lee and I don't know what we're looking at, we're going to be a little bit lost.
That's true.
Right? We want detail. We want information.
Also, with your plate presentations, you got to up your game here at the end. We want to see plates that visually pop. So think about how you're placing those things on the plate. Think about the colors on the plate. Do you want to use some parsley infused oil to drizzle or dot around the plate to give it some visual appeal? So bring your A games to this assignment. We want to see your best work, and I'm really, really excited to see what you guys are going to create.
Totally. Great ideas already flowing around. If you're stuck on trying to figure out what to make, reach out to us, reach out to your classmates in the walk-in, bounce ideas off of one another. That's how the best ideas are created, right? When you're throwing ideas around, right? Maybe you want to talk to so-and-so about a spice that they have been using, right? Maybe it was that harissa and the tagine, or who knows, right? Something. If you've got questions, reach out, bounce ideas off, right? Who thinks? I mean, should I make carrots julienne? Should I make those into ribbons? Should I make really super thin sliced carrots, pinwheels? How is that going to present itself? How can I make that stand out, right?
Stand out and show off. Show off for us, show off your knife skills. Show us your creativity. Show us the techniques that you've mastered as you've gone through this course, through the program.
Exactly.
Yes, be artistic, be expressive. Yeah, the sky's the limit, truly.
Yeah, have fun. All right, Dwayne. Tara, I'm just gonna fill up with you. You mentioned about Betty Crocker. If you're talking about using like the Betty Crocker cookbook as inspiration, yeah, their inspiration is found everywhere, in every nook and cranny. I would think about, hey, but Betty Crocker's a little bit dated, so how do I put a new spin on that, right? How do I bring Betty Crocker to life? How do I make Betty pop again, right? Is it taking a classic, Betty Crocker recipe and saying, okay, I want to do, a type of a casserole, but maybe I'm going to break that down. Whoever grew up with like chicken divan? I grew up with chicken divan. Did anybody else, right? Cubes of chicken breast, broccoli, a can of cream of chicken soup, and some cubed bread tossed on top, thrown in the oven, right? I don't know about you, but I always thought that chicken breast was overcooked, a little dry. Maybe that was my mom's fault. Maybe that's just the life of the casserole. Maybe she should have been using dark meat instead. Who knows? That broccoli was always a bit over. But there's something comforting about a casserole. But maybe I could say, how can I elevate that, right? Or maybe somebody else was talking about a casserole using green beans. Well, maybe I could make really fresh, bright, sauteed green beans and then put a sauce that would typically be accompanied in a casserole, right? So you're getting that bright, vibrant color of a green bean, but you've got that creamy, comforting sauce that's familiar in a casserole, and you top it off with some fried onions, right? But not presenting it in the same old way, putting that spin on it. Maybe you need a little fresh lemon zest in there to make it elevated, or some herbs, right? Bringing it to life. Food is alive, right? We're literally taking it off the planet and it's going, like Chef Farmer Lee was talking, it feeds us, right? We're taking these nutrients, this energy, putting it into ourselves. You're putting that love and those nutrients into your customers every time you cook for somebody. We're part of that cycle. Like Farmer Lee was talking about, that natural rhythm. We are part of that cycle. How we reduce, how we waste, how we reuse, how we create, how we become sustainable. how we order, how we eat. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Else? Well,
I do have one.
Yep.
I asked Chef Lee this at the beginning before you came on. So I got really excited about my dish, my entree. I used all my vegetables in my entree.
excellent.
Okay. So I don't really have any, I completely forgot that I had to make an appetizer. So I still have to make my appetizer. So, but I don't really have anything left over from that box to.
That's okay. That's okay. You
Put-
highlighted your utilized all
Okay.
of those veggies uh uh in your main dish.
Okay. Okay. Just want to be sure. I was looking at it last night because I was going to submit it as soon as you opened it up, and I went, crap, I forgot the appetizer.
Well, you got plenty of time. Appetizer, rip it up. I would say think about what, maybe do a little bit of research on what's an appetizer that would pair well with tagine, right? Maybe do a deep dive into Moroccan.
I had decided on something, and I just saw something, and I know I'm changing my mind, and I'm going to make that. So it should be good.
I'm sure it'll be great. And class, if something isn't fancy enough, that's okay. Did you see what I showed you or what I created? Yeah, we want you to have mindful plating. I didn't do something that was that outrageous, but there was thought behind it. There's flavor profile, texture, and color behind the execution. Okay. Tara. But there's thought behind that, right? How do you execute that? I actually made that, the chicken dish that I made as the main was so simple. I made a I seared some chicken, I braised it. I had another braise of chickpeas and potatoes. That was all nice and slow cooking. And, I just made sure that I plated it thoughtfully, right? Getting a little height on there. It wasn't that fancy, it was just what I thought of something that if I was working on a farm, what I would make in it for a dinner. How I would feel satisfied, and highlighting that summer harvest.
And something for y'all to remember is if you're using good ingredients, whatever you make is going to taste good. Apply the methods and techniques that you've learned in culinary school, use great ingredients. You can't go wrong with that.
100%. Don't doubt yourself. If you've already done it, keep pushing. All right. Comfort is good. Nothing is wrong with comfort, right? But there can always be presentation and thought behind comfort food, right? Nobody ever said, that's like the old mentality of thinking ethnic food should be cheap. Well, not when there's thought and effort behind it, right? Think of, tacos should be cheap, or Chinese food. Well, guess what? Or Indian food, right? So there's no reason that there's not thought behind so many of the most comforting dishes out there. But there's ways to elevate and make that presentation look a little bit nice, right? And the flavor components that are going in there. Really, it's about that flavor, building those layers and bases of flavor. Okay. All right. Well, class. Sharon, do you have another hand?
Yes, I do. This is where the life coaching in me comes out, because I'm also a life coach. So like I saw in the comments of people saying of it not being fancy enough, and what you were just saying. And so I just wanted to put some motivation out there, and to let everyone know some of the best dishes are the most simplistic dishes. And my kids were watching me make the cheese and the butter, and they could not believe that that's all that it was. And I told them some of the best things come from the simple ways of doing them. So sometimes when you do fancy and too much over the top, you can overpower, certain flavors. So just because your meal is comfort or more simplified does not mean that it can have some of the best flavors and be some of the best tasting food. So I just wanted to send that encouragement out, because some of the best meals I've had have been very comforting and simplistic.
100%. I mean, there's a reason there's the joke about going to a 5-course, 10-course fancy prefix meal and going out for a burger afterwards because you're hungry, right? Give it a go. It's the truth, right? If you ever go to a really high fine end dining experience, we're talking Michelin level star and above, and you're getting bites, right, of perfectly composed meals and dishes. You're left wanting something, right? Something to fill you up. So cook with love, cook with your skill base and your techniques that you've learned. A braise, I did a braise, but guess what? I made sure I seared my chicken before I started that braise. Why? Because I needed to develop flavor. I thought about what's my braising liquid gonna be? All right, I had some beer. I had a nice light lager. I used beer and mustard and onions, okay? Simple, but that's what I had, and Dijon, really strong mustard, right? You've gotta think about how you're building those layers of flavor. All right. Okay, class. So much to talk about. Food never stops, right? I could talk for hours, as you all know, about food and cooking it and eating it, and my stomach is growling. My computer's about to die. I guess it's the time to sign off. I just want to say a few parting words. One being, thank you all for bringing your passion and excitement and love for food to the table every week, and pushing yourself. Like I said, I've seen you all transform from week 1, and I can't wait to see what you've got in week 12 to show. If you've got questions, whenever, reach out. Know that you have an entire Escoffier team here to support you. Now and through graduation and beyond. We've got career services here, which you can always fall back on and use if you need help sourcing, finding a job after externship, whatever the case be, right? You've got questions about building out a menu. Maybe you're going to get at the helm of a kitchen and you got some questions. It doesn't have to be Chef Lee or myself. Maybe another chef instructor that you absolutely loved or felt you had a connection with. Reach out. We all love to hear from students. I love hearing about what, I still text with some of my old students and they send me photos of what they're making and creating, ask me questions. We're around. We're a resource, tap into it. Let's see, what else? I guess I've got, like I said, just so many things. Never stop learning, keep pushing, keep trying things, keep eating things, cooking, keep exploring spices, everything you can get your hands on. Share with one another. It's how you learn more from others. Week 12 is due on Sunday. If you've got questions, you know who to come to. Chef Lee and I are here. We're going to be in the dungeon grading for the next few days, but we'll be around. So, holler at us. And oh yeah, 2 other things. The survey located at the top of the class. It is 100% anonymous. Unfortunately, there is no extra credit surrounded by it. I know that what you all have been accustomed to in previous courses, so I don't want to set any standard. I want to be completely honest. There is no extra credit associated with it, as you have been familiar in the past. However, it is a wonderful opportunity to help us, myself and Chef Lee, grow and expand as educators. It's a way for us to improve Escoffier as a program. I know there were a lot of comments about the desire to have more videos associated with every single week. Visual learning, I understand that. Put that on. Talk about ways that we can make your learning experience better, or things that worked for you. Just like we give you feedback every week, this is your chance to give us feedback where you wanted something extra or more or less. Let us know how we can help and improve. And Chef Lee.
Thank you, Chef. You guys have been an inspiration to me, and I'm really grateful for your hard work and your dedication. I know I say it in my feedback every week, and I mean that really very sincerely. I can see what you guys are putting into what you're turning out. And don't stop doing that. Keep pursuing these dreams. And regardless of why you're here in culinary school, you know, some of you are pursuing a career, some of you are doing this for enrichment, some of you are doing it as a gift to yourself. Continue living in this growth mindset. I've learned things from y'all during this course, and I'll continue to learn from my students as I continue to teach. Go forth and do good things. And like Chef C said, please do stay in touch. I will be available. So thank you.
100%. Thank you all. Any questions, please send us messages. We are here to help. It has been an absolute pleasure. Going to be sad to see you all go after our journey together. And I cannot wait to see your week 12s. So,
Chef Catherine, can I stay back for just a second to say something to you and Chef Lee?
yeah, one sec. I just want to close this up. Well, I guess we still have a few other questions. I see, Sharon, was that you just talking?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Brian, I see you've got your hand up as well.
Correct. Sharon can speak first and then I'll go.
Okay. I just wanted to say very briefly that to just thank you and Chef Lee. I'm a crybaby. Let me try not to get emotional because at the beginning of this journey, it's something I've wanted to do all my life, and life kind of got in the way. And I started this journey, and about 1 month into it, I lost my leg. So it was very hard to get through, but the support of Escoffier has been amazing. And then being in classes like yours, especially towards this journey now to where I'm walking again and having to go to physical therapy, I just want to let you know that this class really, really pushed me. It really, really pushed me to keep fighting for my dreams, to come to class, see you motivated or catch the archive. And I'm just like, Sharon, you can do this, you can do it. And I'm so proud of myself. But I can't say that success would not have happened without the support of you and Chef Lee and being able to reach out and let you know that just because things happen to you in your life, it does not mean that your dreams are dead and that they're gone. So you don't know how much you impact a person's life, but thank you. I want you guys to know how much you have impacted my life. And thank you so much. And I'm going to stop because I am so emotional.
It's okay. You turned the waterworks on for me too, Sharon. I wish I could give you a hug right now.
Thank you.
And really proud of that. Is extremely impressive, your dedication and passion and not giving up. And
Absolutely.
Incredible.
Thank you. Thank you, chefs.
Yeah, thank you, Sharon.
I'm at 2% on my computer, so if I disappear, it's not for lack of wanting to be here.
I caught mine at 1 and then got the plug in, so.
I don't want to leave to go get it's in the other room. I don't want to miss anything.
I just want to say thank you guys for not giving up on me with all the problems and stuff that I was going through. Y'all helped me out and y'all really motivated me. So I thank y'all for that push.
Absolutely.
Our pleasure.
Oh gosh, I'm tearing up too. I'm sorry.
You guys, it happens every end of Farm to Table.
We're human, and this is a human experience that we're sharing. So don't apologize.
Same in my case. You know, it's always been a dream for me to find a class like this, and to grow in what I love doing, because something since I was a kid I loved cooking, and finally I found it's cool that you can basically do it on your free time, and it's been a pleasure having you both as as my teachers. And then like I wrote a message, and it's been you both have helped me grow personally and professionally. So thank you very much for all that you guys have taught us. I'm pretty sure everybody here is being grateful for all your comments and feedback that help us grow.
Thank you, Brian. I'm
Thank
happy.
And I have one question. To once all the classes are done, can if we try to log back in to check, the work that we have done, is that going to be possible?
Yeah, so upon graduating so you'll obviously have full access through your externship, everything, to all the classes that you've had leading up to that. And then after that, you will have access, as far as I know. I know of students that graduated upwards of five years ago, and they still have access. Mostly, as long as you're in good standing with the school, meaning that you've got loan stuff worked out and things like that, you're going to have full access to the courses. I would say, create your own. This is just a little tidbit of information. I know you all are getting stuff together for your externship, but keep all of you've made folders for all of your work. I would compile that, have that separate, just as in your Google Drive or wherever it is. Utilize that textbook. You have resource there. I'm not sure if you all know, but there's a huge, I should have pointed this out in the beginning class, but I've come to the conclusion at the end of this that after speaking with a lot of you, that some people are not aware that this even exists. But up here at the top, you've got the resources. You've got a whole list of technique videos. This is super cool. Glossary of terms, if you're ever looking how to pronounce something, right? You've got all of this, which is pretty unique, and you can even play it.
A la brasa. A la brasa.
To understand, right? Charcoal grilled, a la carte, right?
A la carte.
A la
A la
carte.
carte.
A la carte. You can really work on your French accent there. So you should have access to all of this, Brian, and everybody.
All right, thank you.
You're very welcome. Yolanda.
Hello.
Hi.
I still have not gotten my photos to upload. It's in the Google Drive, but I'm still getting the circle.
Okay.
And
did you contact student support?
when I was driving home with the meeting on, and so I haven't had it because I was at work. So I haven't had a chance to do that. Is that something that they would be able to help me with?
Yeah, I sent you a message. First things first, I would shut down your system, reload it, see if that helps. If not, you want to reach out to student support. They might be able to diagnose something if it's something larger than anything. Chef Mike, you're leaving? I'm just joking, Henry. Sorry, Yolanda. Definitely give student support a call. They'll at least have a bit more information as to what might be happening.
Okay, that was the whole entire question. Would they be able to help me with that, because it is Google Drive, and I am seriously not very computer savvy at all, and everything has been so crazy these last few weeks with my kids starting back to school, and I'm trying to help them because they're doing online schooling also. So it's been from one problem to another.
I can imagine. Yeah, give them a call. They're tech masters. I am not. So they should be able to help you out. And if not, just it might take them. They're usually open till about 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Give them a call. Give them a call. Leave a message. You might not get a call back till tomorrow. Let them know what time is best to have. If they're not available, let them know a time that you're available to talk, that you would have access to your computer or your however you're accessing the site and attempting to upload. They should be able to help you. And if not, then if there's some other issue, reach out to me and let me know, and we will work out a plan.
Thank you so much.
Gregory.
Wow, that was tough. It was so hard for me not to try and help her out. That's what I do all day at work.
Oh, okay. Well, send her a private message. Send her a private message.
I just wanted to say thanks. This is something that I started trying to do back before I went to college, when I graduated high school. And I was a junior in college when I finally got accepted and just couldn't go. just didn't have the time, didn't have the resources, and I was almost ready to graduate. So this is something that's been backburnered for me for a very long time. And so y'all have given me a chance to pursue a job I want to do, not a job I need to do.
Awesome.
So this has been great. I love it.
Happy that you made it.
Yeah, I'm too.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Chef. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank
Take
you. Mary.
All right, class. Any other questions, comments, tear jerkers? What are we doing?
I would speak, but I would start crying. So.
All right,
I'm just
Natalia.
gonna say thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Believe
Melinda.
me, you don't want me to start talking. So I'm just gonna say thank you. Thank you for giving me, it's a little bit of an escape. So thank you.
You're very welcome.
It's been a pleasure.
That's why a lot of us cook, right? We go into our kitchen, we get to kind of leave things behind, focus on something that gives us, calms us, brings us joy, comfort, and to serve others. So know that we've got a team here. All right. Natalia.
Oh, I wanted to say, Chef, thank you so much, because before I even came to this class, you were my inspiration to keep going at the school. Yeah, everybody knows I had a lot of problems with being sick. And when I first got here and I entered that competition and I won it, you sent me a text.
Wait, that's you, Natalia?
That was me.
No way.
And you said that plate was phenomenal. And to be honest, I didn't think it was good enough, and I didn't think I was good enough. And you sent me that text, and I decided to stay and kept going. And now, lo and behold, you're my teacher, and I'm still here. So thank you.
That's I can't believe you held this from me for the past 3 months, Natalia.
Yes, I was that student that you reached out.
No, I totally know exactly. I know.
Teacher.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome.
So it kept me striving to do what I was doing and keep inventing stuff the way I was.
Awesome.
So thank you, more than you know.
My pleasure. Definitely. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
Now you're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I agree, Melinda. It's a tough time right now that we're all going through. And this is that a place that we all can come together and have a little bit of an escape, as you're saying. We talk about food. We're not necessarily focused on what's going on in the world, and we can think about something that we all really love and that's near and dear to us, right? So we talk about all that time, that passion, all the stories that all of you are saying, why you're here, how long it took you to get here. We see it shining through in your execution every week, your passion, the way you're writing about food, the way you're thinking about your future endeavors and how you want to make an impact and what you want to be out in the industry. So know that you all inspire us as well to keep pushing and challenging ourselves to learn more and be better, so that we can be better for you to share more knowledge and just hope that we all work together. So we are all equals in the eyes of the stove, 100%. Awesome. All right, class. Don't want to say goodbye, but we're all here. So know that you can reach out to us whenever, and you'll be hearing through us from your feedback for week 12 as well. All right.
Take care, everyone.
Lots of love, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you.